All right, this is Mr. McMurray, and we're here looking at the reading measurement worksheet. Okay, first of all, let's look at the ruler. We're going to do some measurements here. We're going to also learn how to estimate to the next appropriate digit and all that sort of good stuff. So here we go. For example, this is a ruler. Now we could say, is this a inches or is it metric? And you say, well, just by looking at it, you can't tell. But actually, if you count the number of spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 tells us it is metric. Remember, metric is set on the decimal system where everything's in tens. If it had been in inches, it'd either be fourths or eighths or sixteenths or something like that. Okay, so this is a metric. So we're going to say centimeters. These are centimeters. The numbered ones are. All right, then that means that each one of these in between is a tenth of that. So this would be 13.1, 13.2, this would be 0.5 here, and of course 10 or 1.0 would be 14 because that's one more centimeter than 13. All right, so if we wanted to do for example, C right here, and you could look down here and see on your blank or fill it in, that measurement, this line right here is 13.2. This one right here is 13.3. If I put 13.2, is that correct? No, because we know it's not on that line. If I put 13.3, is that correct? No, because it's not on that line either. So technically, if I just rounded it off, that's not as accurate as I could be. So what I'm going to do, I know it's 13.2, so I'm going to put that down. And it's about halfway in between it and the next line, so I put the next decimal place and I put a 5. Now, if it were just barely over here, you could put a 0.1, 0.2. This might be slightly less than half, so if you want to put a 4 instead of a 5 there, but basically it's going to be about that. Now, is that exactly right? No, but we at least know that that's more accurate than either 13.2 or 13.3. It's between those two. And then I always put my units, and these are centimeters. So for all these, you're going to put centimeters. All right. So basically, that's what you need to do for each one. You need to put it down. Now, let's say we had one like, I think that's A right there. My letters are a little blurry, but let's go back to A. All right. If A is right on 12.5. All right. So someone says, well, do I need to put another decimal place? Because it's not any more than that or any less than that. That's exactly right. But just to show that we know it's exactly on there and not just a little bit one way or the other and we rounded it to that, we're going to put a 0. So if something is right on the line, you're going to put a 0 in the hundredths place. Okay? And then once again, it's going to be centimeters. So if it's right on, you put a 0 in the hundredths place. If it's in between, then you estimate that number. About a third of the way would be 3, half would be 5, and so on. Okay? So that's how we're going to do those. Now, the next one's a little different. These are triple beam balances, sorry. They actually have quadruple beam, 4, but that's okay. All right. So we're going to look at this. Okay, first of all, you start with the biggest one, which is 100. So we have 100. All right. And then we're going to add the tens column, but the tens column is on 0, so we don't need to add there. We go to the ones column, which is 6. So we have 106, 106, 106, 106. Point. Now there's 0.3 here, but we know it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks to me like 9 marks past that, so that's going to be 106.39. And the units, I don't know if you can read it here or not, but it is there, and that is grams, okay? So for triple beam balance, it's a lot easier. You just do 100 plus the tens, which goes in this column, then you put the ones, which goes here, and then you put the decimal, which is, if it were exactly on 0.4, it would have been 0.40, okay? All right, just like this is 0.39, this would be 0.40 or 0.40, 40 hundredths. This is 39 hundredths. All right, so that's how you would do those. At least those are fairly straightforward compared to some of the others. Let's see if I can get to go to the next page here. All right, so on the next page, these top ones are going to be graduated cylinders, okay, where you're measuring out the volume of a liquid, and the liquid makes this little curve thing. All right, so first of all, if you have this curved line, do you measure at the top of the curve, bottom of the curve, or do you just kind of estimate in between there? Well, technically, this part of the edge just barely comes up along the edge, and then it comes out here, and it comes up like that. So it should be more flattened. We're going to use the bottom of the curve. Okay, that's where you're going to measure at. Now, the other thing is, different graduated cylinders go up by different amounts. All right, this one is 60 to 70, so it'd be 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it'd be 65 right there. So these goes up by 1. All right, but this one, 30 to 35, still has 10 marks, but it's only going up 5, going half as much as this one. And so each line is going to be 0.5. So this would be 30.5, this would be 31.0, this would be 31.5. I'm not sure if that's helping. See if I can get a smaller pen here and that'll help. Okay, this one would be 32, this would be 32.5, and this would be 33.0, and you get the idea, okay? Each one goes up by a half, all right? Okay, this one, that goes up by 5, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, so that means each one of them goes up by 1. All right, this one, it's going from 5 to there, so 5 but 10 spaces, so that means it's going to be 0.5 again. So this would be 45.5, this would be 46.0, this would be 46.5, 47.0, and so on. Okay, now the last one over here goes up 1, and there's 10 spaces, so each space is worth 0.1. So this would be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, and so on. And so, and 2.5 would be the bigger line there. All right, so you have another row down below it. They will be the same amount that they go up by. So if you want to write that down somewhere, that's probably a good idea. Let's look at the first one here. All right, so we know it goes by 1. So 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. So we know it's at least 67. So that's going to be 67 point. Okay, here's between 67 and 68. It's about halfway. So I would say either 0.4 or 0.5 milliliters. Okay, because it's about halfway in between there. All right. Now, if we do one of the 0.5s, 30 and a half, 31, 31 and a half, or 0.5, 32, 32.5. So we know this one is in between 32.0 and 32.5. Now it's almost up to that. So I would say about a 0.3, a 0.3, or maybe a 0.4 even. Okay, so there's a little bit of leeway there. You can give it, so I would say 32.3 milliliters. All right. And then you would continue to do that for the rest of your measurements. Now, down here we have a thermometer. We go from 0 to -5 down here. All right, so this means this is -1, -2, -3, -4. So these change by 1. All right, here we go change by 1, but there's 5 spaces, so that's going to be 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. So 36.2, 36.4, 36.6, 36.8. Okay, this would be 37.8 here. All right, and so on. All right, these are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they're going to go up by 1s. All right, these here got 10 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're going to go up by 1. These, remember, it's the negative number. So this next number down here would be -11, because this would be -9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, -9, -10, -11. All right. And over here you got 30 to 40 at 10 spaces. So go up by 1. So this would be 31, that'd be 32, and so on. All right, let's look at a couple of these. Let's look at this one first. Okay, we know this line right here, 2, 4, 6, 8. This is 37.8. But it's almost all the way up here to 38. So it's got to be at least 39. I mean, excuse me, 37. Sorry, 37. Let me do this again. 37.9. Okay, so it definitely, that would be somewhere in the middle here, right about there. Now, if you want to put another 5 on that, because this is about halfway between that and 38, that would also be good. And then your units are going to be a little degree sign Celsius. So 37.95 degrees Celsius. All right, now let's look at this one a little bit. Okay, it's between -2 and -3, about halfway. Whoops, sorry about that. About halfway. So that would be, the key thing is, remember, you're not going up, you're going closer to 0, so the numbers get smaller. So instead of being 3.5, this is going to be -2.5 degrees Celsius. All right, and then you would do the rest of them similarly across. Like I said, some of these I give you a little bit of leeway because you can't be exact, but you want to be as exact as you can. All right, so hopefully if you go online, you should be able to find the reading measurements, and you can type in your answers and then submit those documents. All right, good luck and happy measuring.